Yo guys, what's going on? Today I want to speak to you guys about how I gained 20 pounds of muscle in my first year of weightlifting and how you can do the same. So first of all, let me make it clear that the picture in the thumbnail was from me, from year 0, no weightlifting, up till the end of my first year of weightlifting. Whereas now, as I speak today, I've been lifting for about 3 years. So the picture that should be on the screen now would be my transformation from that time until now, where I've gained probably about 10 pounds of muscle since then. Now the reason why I mention this and I make this distinction is very important. This is because you will notice that from the first transformation picture from year 0 to year 1, there is a larger difference than when you compare the second transformation picture from the end of year 1 to the end of year 3. And the reason this is because you have the potential to make the most amount of gains in your first year of weightlifting. In fact, about half of the gains that you will make in your entire weightlifting journey will be made in just that first year. The more experience you get, the harder and the slower the muscle building process will be. Therefore, it is extremely important that you take advantage of this first year of weightlifting so that you can reap all of those rewards as mentioned, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that today. So let's first get to the training side of things. It goes without saying that if you want to build any decent amount of muscle, then you want to start lifting weights. Bodyweight exercises will only get you so far, so eventually you're going to have to lift some heavy weights. In my first year of weightlifting, I mostly trained 3 days per week. Now I train 4 days per week, which obviously isn't much of a difference anyway. So the point is, you don't need to get too caught up on what the absolute best training split is, whether it's the bro split or the full body split or push-pull legs, etc. Nor do you need to get too caught up on doing the most, fancy and new training techniques and these kind of new fancy and training schemes and so forth. The most important thing then is to stay consistent with whatever program that you are on. And in terms of programming, I'd say shoot for about 10 sets per week for each major muscle group, and even like 3 to 5 sets will suffice for the smaller muscle groups per week. Also, you want to focus most of your time on compound lifts. These are lifts that target multiple muscle groups at the same time, and they include exercises like the deadlift, the squat, the bench press, the overhead press, and so forth. And then isolation exercises which target just one muscle group at a time, such as your chest flies, leg extensions, and bicep curls. These should only comprise, I'd say, maximum 20% of your total number of exercises. Compound exercises should be at least 80% of your programming, and I'd leave the isolation towards the end of your workouts. The most important muscle building principle though is progressive tension overload. This basically means that you want to get stronger over time, and in your first year you're lucky because your strength gains will probably be quite rapid. One of the best ways to go about this is to use set rep ranges, and you move up in weight each time you hit the top of your rep range. So let's say, for example, you are using the 4 to 6 rep range, then this is how it would work. If you manage to get 6 clean reps with a certain weight on a certain exercise, then you will move up in weight, increasing maybe by about 5 kilos, like 2.5 kilos on each side of the barbell, or if it's a dumbbell exercise, then an extra 2 kilos for each dumbbell. If you manage 4 or 5 reps though with that certain weight, then you remain at the same weight on the exercise. If, however, with the weight that you've put on the bar, you aren't able to even get 4 reps, then that means that that weight is currently too heavy for you, so you should decrease weight by like 5 kilos or so. So in a way, you always do want to be aiming for the top part of the rep range. You always, for example, with the 4 to 6 rep range, want to be aiming to get 6 reps, but obviously you prioritize your form. If you can't get those 6 reps with good form, then obviously you don't do that. Now to the eating side of things. If you want to gain weight, and this includes gaining muscle, then you want to eat in a caloric surplus. A caloric surplus is when you eat more calories than you burn per day. There are many online calorie calculator websites and apps that can give you an idea of how many calories that should be for you. The important thing though is that once you do start eating those initial calorie numbers that you're given is that you keep track of how much you weigh on a weekly basis. And the reason why is because in your first year of weightlifting, you want to gain about 1 pound a week. So let's say, for example, that calorie calculator gave you like 2,500 calories to be in a caloric surplus. And you go about eating 2,500 calories per day and you're weightlifting and everything, but at the end of the week, you don't gain 1 pound, you get which is half a kilo. Instead, you lose weight, or your weight just remains the exact same. Then in this case, you would want to increase your calories by about 200. And this is what you're gonna do every single time you don't gain a pound a week. Each time you don't gain 1 pound in that week, you're now going to adjust your calories. So someone might start off with 2,500, but then perhaps it's only at 2,700 or 2,900 that they're actually consistently gaining 1 pound per week. On the other hand though, let's say you're eating a certain number of calories, and with those certain number of calories, you're actually gaining like 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 4 pounds, or even 5 pounds in a week. Then in this case, these are too many calories because you're probably gaining too much fat. And in this case, you want to reduce your calories by about 100 calories or so. Note that you will probably gain a bit more than 1 pound per week in the first few weeks because your body will be getting ready to the caloric surplus. So if you do gain like 2-3 pounds for like a week for the first few weeks, like 2 to 3, maybe even 4, then this might be okay because it's probably a lot of water weight. Actually, it's not really additional fat. But then eventually, like especially after that 1 month mark, if you consistently see like 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds instead of 1, then decrease it, or on the other hand, increase it if you're seeing less than 1 pound. Eventually, 1 pound per week is what you should be aiming for. Also note that you have to gain some fat at expense of gaining desired muscle. You can expect about half of the total weight that you gain in your first year of weightlifting to be muscle, whereas the other half will be fat and it will be water weight and glycogen. So in my case, for example, I weighed 52 kilos when I started weightlifting, and then I went up to 68 kg in that picture. And so that's obviously 16 kg gained, although I'd say about 20 kilos was gained because I lost some weight in that process of gaining. I went on some mini cut. So therefore I gained weight back. Thus I gained about 20 kg in total for my first year. 20 kg is 44 pounds. So if I gained 44 pounds roughly as a whole, then half of 44 is about 20 pounds. Thus I say I gained about 20 pounds of muscle in my first year of weightlifting. By the way, I currently weigh 75 kg. Okay, so as well as keeping track of how many calories you're eating per day, you also want to keep track of how much protein you eat. Specifically, you want to be eating about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So for example, someone who weighs 120 pounds, like I did when I started weightlifting, would want to eat 120 grams of protein per day. Foods high in protein include chicken, beef, lamb, fish, lentils, etc. And to put it into perspective, 200 grams of chicken, which is typically the amount that will be put in like a burger in a restaurant, depending of course on the restaurant that you go to, is 62 grams of protein. So for someone like we needed 120 grams of protein per day. That would already be half of the total protein that I need. After getting in your protein, the remaining calories of your day should be distributed to healthy carbohydrates and healthy fats. And I would highly advise you to have a high carbohydrate diet because you want to have enough energy in the gym to be able to lift heavier over time, which will then help you with building muscle. And some carbohydrate sources would include rice, sweet potatoes, fruits and vegetables, and your fats, you're looking at things such as nuts and avocados. Last of all, you want to be getting in about 7-8 hours of sleep per night because your muscles need that time to recover and then grow. I'd say keep it at a minimum of 6 hours per night, and you don't need any more than 9 hours per night. Obviously, if you're a busy individual, or just in general, sleep is obviously kind of disrupting your day in a way. So yeah, you really don't need more than 9 hours of sleep per night. So I think that's more than enough information for today. So if it helped, then leave a like and a comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.